The Mesozoic Era stretched from about 252 to 66 million years ago, lasting more than 180 million years. It was a forgotten world, erased by extinction and buried beneath rock. It was not a single age, but three distinct periods: Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous, each marked by its own monsters. The Earth looked familiar, yet alien vast deserts, tropical forests, shallow seas, and shifting continents. The air was thick with oxygen, the seas swarmed with reptiles, and the skies carried winged giants. The term monsters captures not only the size, but also the bizarre shapes and adaptations of these creatures. They ranged from armored tanks with club tails to long-necked giants and swift predators with claws like knives. Many of these monsters are forgotten compared to household names like Tyrannosaurus, yet their existence was crucial in shaping ecosystems and evolutionary history. Their fossils remain silent until science interprets them, reminding us that entire worlds have risen and fallen before humanity. The Mesozoic was Earth's greatest theater of life, and though forgotten by time, its monsters left a legacy carved into stone, waiting for rediscovery. The Triassic period followed Earth's deadliest extinction, the Permian-Triassic event, which wiped out nearly all life. In its aftermath, reptiles began experimenting with new forms, and among them emerged the first dinosaurs. They were not immediately dominant. Small, agile carnivores such as Herrerasaurus and Cryolophosaurus roamed alongside giant amphibians and early crocodile-like reptiles. The world was harsh, with a hot, dry climate across the supercontinent Pangaea. Dinosaurs were opportunists, finding niches as predators and scavengers, while other reptiles filled roles as herbivores and apex hunters. Fossil trackways from this time show clusters of small footprints, evidence of group living and rapid movement. The Triassic also gave rise to the first pterosaurs, tentative masters of the air, and marine reptiles like nothosaurs in shallow seas. It was a world in recovery where survival demanded adaptation. By the end of the Triassic, another extinction cleared away competitors, paving the way for dinosaurs to rise as dominant monsters. These origins remind us that even the greatest empires of life began humbly, as small, swift survivors in a recovering planet. The Jurassic period marked the rise of the giants. With warm, humid climates and flourishing vegetation, dinosaurs expanded in both size and diversity. Sauropods like Brachiosaurus and Diplodocus towered above forests, their necks stretching into the canopy to strip foliage. They moved in herds, leaving immense trackways across floodplains. Their bones reveal complex respiratory systems similar to birds, allowing efficient oxygen intake for massive bodies. Alongside them lived armored herbivores such as Stegosaurus, whose plates and spiked tails offered protection. Apex predators like Allosaurus stalked the giants, their fossilized teeth embedded in sauropod bones. The seas also flourished, with ichthyosaurs and plesiosaurs dominating marine ecosystems. This was an age of abundance, supported by lush plant growth and stable climates. Fossils from formations like the Morrison in North America and Tendaguru in Africa preserve snapshots of thriving ecosystems. The Jurassic shows us a planet ruled by scale, where size became a weapon and a strategy. It was the time when monsters were at their most colossal, shaping landscapes simply by their presence and movement. The Cretaceous period brought dinosaurs to their peak diversity. Apex predators reached their ultimate forms. Tyrannosaurus rex, with its bone-crushing jaws, dominated North America. Spinosaurus, adapted for semi-aquatic life, prowled river systems in North Africa. Velociraptors, though smaller than movie depictions, were swift hunters armed with deadly claws. Against them stood heavily defended herbivores. Ankylosaurus evolved into a living tank, with bony armor and a tail club capable of breaking bones. Triceratops wielded horns and a frill as both weapon and display. Fossil evidence suggests herds and complex social behavior, with individuals protecting one another from predators. The Cretaceous also saw flowering plants spread widely, reshaping diets and ecosystems. Dinosaur diversity reached levels unmatched in earlier periods, from small insect eaters to massive titans like Argentinosaurus. This apex age highlights the evolutionary arms race between predator and prey, armor and weapon, speed and cunning. The monsters of the Cretaceous were not just giants, but also specialists. Each adapted to thrive in a world of intense competition and constant change. While dinosaurs ruled the land, the oceans belonged to other monsters. Mosasaurs, giant lizards adapted for marine life, dominated the Cretaceous seas. Their double-hinged jaws allowed them to swallow prey whole, from fish to smaller marine reptiles. Fossils show some over 15 meters long. Plesiosaurs with long necks and short bodies glided gracefully, ambushing schools of fish. Short-necked pliosaurs, like Kronosaurus, grew into ferocious hunters with massive skulls and teeth. Earlier, ichthyosaurs resembled dolphins but reached sizes of whales, with fossilized remains even showing live births. The seas swarmed with ammonites, giant-shelled cephalopods, whose spiral shells mark rocks worldwide. Fossils of mosasaur stomach contents reveal brutal predation, while tooth-scarred bones show battles in the deep. These marine ecosystems rivaled the land in ferocity and diversity. To enter these waters would have meant certain death for any intruder. The oceans of the Mesozoic were alien realms of scale and violence, where monsters swam with grace and lethality, ruling a forgotten empire beneath the waves, above the forests and seas. Pterosaurs turned the skies into their domain, from small insect hunters like Rhamphorhynchus to giants like Quetzalcoatlus with wingspans over 10 meters. They mastered powered flight millions of years before birds. Fossilized wing impressions show membranes supported by elongated fingers, reinforced with muscle fibers for strength. Tracks reveal they walked on all fours when grounded, scavenging or hunting small prey. Some species developed crests for display, while others evolved long jaws filled with needle-like teeth for fishing. Pterosaurs were incredibly diverse, tiny, nocturnal flyers, coastal fishers, and terrestrial stalkers. They represent one of the most successful aerial experiments in Earth's history. Despite their dominance, they are often overshadowed by dinosaurs in public imagination, making them truly forgotten monsters of the skies. Their fragile bones rarely preserved well, making each fossil precious and rare. Yet, every discovery adds to our understanding of a sky once crowded with leathery wings, casting shadows over herds of dinosaurs below. The Mesozoic was filled with creatures that seem almost unreal. The Therizinosaurus, with claws over a meter long, looked like a nightmare, but likely used its arms for stripping plants. Deinocheirus, once known only from enormous arms, was later revealed as a humpbacked giant with a duck-like bill, combining traits of predator and herbivore. Cryolophosaurus, the Allosaurus, bore a bizarre head crest in Antarctica, where dinosaurs thrived during warmer climates. Carnotaurus, with bull-like horns and tiny arms, was one of the strangest predators ever discovered. These forms challenge our imagination, yet fossils confirm their existence. They filled ecological roles as browsers, omnivores, and specialized predators, proving evolution often experiments with unlikely designs. Many of these monsters remain obscure, overshadowed by famous names, yet they add depth to the forgotten world. Their oddities remind us that prehistoric life was not uniform but diverse, with creatures as strange as any mythological beast. The Mesozoic was not only an age of giants, but also of bizarre adaptations that defy expectations. Not all Mesozoic monsters were giants. In the shadows lived smaller dinosaurs and reptiles that thrived by speed, stealth, and adaptability. Microraptor, with feathers on both arms and legs, was a four-winged glider, bridging the gap between dinosaurs and birds. Psittacosaurus, a small ceratopsian, displayed quills along its tail, hinting at functions of display or defense. Compsognathus, no larger than a chicken, darted through undergrowth, hunting insects and lizards. Mammals, too, lived quietly in the shadows, often nocturnal and small, but poised for their eventual rise. Fossils of tiny creatures revealed diets of insects, burrowing habits, and even evidence of parental care. These lesser monsters remind us that ecosystems depend not only on titans, but also on the small and overlooked. They carried forward evolutionary innovations like feathers, warm-blooded metabolism, and complex behaviors. The forgotten world was alive at every scale, from towering sauropods to mouse-sized insect hunters. To understand the Mesozoic fully, we must see the shadows as well as the giants. 66 million years ago, the forgotten world ended in catastrophe. A massive asteroid struck near Chicxulub, unleashing firestorms, tsunamis, and months of darkness. Simultaneously, volcanic eruptions in the Deccan Traps spewed gases that poisoned skies and oceans. Fossil evidence captures this moment. A thin, iridium-rich clay layer marks the impact, while the Hell Creek Formation preserves the last dinosaurs. From Triceratops to Tyrannosaurus, within years, ecosystems collapsed. 3/4 of species vanished, including all non-avian dinosaurs, pterosaurs, and marine reptiles. The monsters that had ruled for 180 million years disappeared almost overnight. Yet not all was lost. Birds, descendants of small theropods, survived and flourished. Mammals expanded into empty niches, eventually leading to the rise of humanity. The end of the forgotten world was also the beginning of our own. The sudden collapse of the Mesozoic Empire reminds us that even the greatest rulers of Earth are vulnerable to cosmic chance and planetary upheaval. Today, paleontologists act as archaeologists of deep time, unearthing the monsters of the Mesozoic from stone. From Mary Anning's discoveries on in-English cliffs to Roy Chapman Andrews' Gobi Desert expeditions, fossil hunters have resurrected the forgotten world piece by piece. Modern tools like CT scans, isotope analysis, and synchrotron imaging reveal hidden details, from brain cavities to feather colors. Museums reconstruct entire ecosystems, letting us walk among replicas of giants. Documentaries and films ignite public imagination, ensuring these monsters are not lost to obscurity. Yet, beyond fascination, their story matters for science. They teach us about evolution, adaptation, extinction, and resilience. They remind us of Earth's fragility and the transient nature of dominance. To rediscover the forgotten world is to confront our place in the planet's history. Latecomers to a stage once ruled by monsters beyond imagination. The Mesozoic may be gone, but its beasts live again through fossils, science, and imagination, forever part of Earth's unfolding story.